Hello, I'm Kathleen Walker with New England Endurance Events, and tonight is the Hyannis 1 Triathlon meeting. Thank you all for being here. All right, so we're going to start off. I'm going to share my screen, so watch out for that. And then we're going to go through tonight. We're going to start off with new information for this year. So if you have raced Hyannis before, so you know the course and all of that stuff, but you want to know what is new this year, and there's a number of things, then you'll want to stay in for that first part of this meeting. After that, we'll go on to people that are new to Hyannis Triathlon. So I've been triathletes, but they haven't done this particular race. So we'll go over that, the course and things of that sort. Then the last part is all for new triathletes. So if you're brand new, and you've never done a triathlon before, maybe you've only done one or two, and you really kind of want to understand the lay of the land, stay on for all that. Hold on to your questions because most likely they're going to be answered along the way. And then when we get to what we call our newbie section, then we'll go over all sorts of stuff, some of what we had already done, and then you'll have an opportunity to ask a bunch of questions in chat. And then we'll go through that, answer your questions after we've told you a whole bunch of stuff. And then we'll answer questions that hadn't already been answered. So you guys hold on to your hats and let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, we all can see that, hopefully. There we go. All right. So if you need race information, and you have not already gotten the emails from Andy saying, okay, here's the athlete's guide. Well, here it is. NEEevents.com, race details page. Oh, good. Thank you. All right. So Andy put it in chat. So if you sometimes hear this disembodied voice, it's Andy over here on my right. So that's, I don't know, could they see your hand? I don't know. So, all right. So here we go. So, oh, sorry, technical difficulties. There we go. Okay. So, Hyannis, new changes for Hyannis. First, we have the USAT. If anyone has tried to get their USAT number and has had struggles, we are sorry to hear that. USAT changed their membership system, particularly for the one-day USAT memberships, and they're now in tiers. So sometimes that's confusing for a few. If it's a sprint triathlon that you're doing, it should be a $13 one-day fee. If it's the Olympic, it's the $18. If it's relay, I think it's $6 per relay person. And that has just become a whole mess, but we can't help it. It's what USAT has. So if you're struggling with that, reach out to them, reach out to us, and we'll do what we can to help you out with that. The other thing that is new this year is our packet pickup. Normally you come into our registration area, you give your name, you show your ID, always bring your ID, and the volunteer, the staff member goes through the 100 or so packets within each of their little bins and tries to find your name, and usually that works. We are switching. We are back in the 21st century. We are going to you're going to get an email, and you should get it Thursday night. And that email is your check-in pass. It will say, like, click here to get your check-in pass. And when you do that, you'll get something that will have like a QR code and your name. When you come in, you want to bring that with you. You'll have your phone. We'll scan that, and then that connects to your registration. So we know you've checked in. You'll be able to check that information to say, yep, that's my name. That's the category. That's the swim wave I'm doing. And you'll have your swim cap color and all of that stuff right there. We'll give that information to you, and then we'll send you on. So that should be super easy. If you have friends or family that are signing up late, normally registration closes on Wednesday night, and that gives me a chance to go ahead and create bib numbers and get all that information to the timer. But with this new system, we don't have to do that. So we're able to leave registration open all the way up through race morning. There's still an additional fee for showing up late. So all of you guys that already, bought your registration, you saved yourself $15. So good job. So now I lost my train of thought. Sorry about that. So they'll be able to sign up right there using a QR code that will be at the event. They'll be able to walk right up to the registration tent. So the idea is to try to make it as easy as possible for you all when you're coming to race with us. So let me know how that works when I see you after the race. Signs on course restrictions. So the town of Barnesville has come up with some new regulations for signs, and they only allow us 20 signs per event. Now, I don't know, Andy, how many signs do you usually put out on that course?
Maybe 3 times as many.
Okay, so a lot of signs. So he is going to sign everything he can, and of course he'll go over the 20, so don't tell anybody, but he can't put like 60 signs out there, or somebody from the town is going to be like, nope, we can't do that. So be really cognizant of the signs that are on the course. Anytime there's a turn, obviously there's going to be a sign, but there might not be 3 signs. So you need to pay attention to the course. Our best suggestion, and this is actually for any race, you should drive the course. You've got a map. You can go online, you can find that on our website, but drive the map or drive the course some point before the race, whether it's early race morning, or if you live local, do it sometime between now and race day. But it will really help you in your course as you're doing your race to be able to be like, oh yeah, I know where that turn is. So that's good advice all around, but particularly because we're limited in signs. Parker Road conditions, one of the roads on the course, if you're not familiar, is Parker Road. And it is just a mess. Andy was out there today putting up the race Saturday signs for the residents. And he said that there's a lot of is it construction, or is it just like potholes everywhere?
The potholes have gotten worse.
Okay.
So it's
He's gonna come around.
it's okay.
We've
Okay. Always had a problem with Parker, and this is in Osterville. And for some of you who are slightly knowledgeable about Barnstable, Barnstable is made up of multiple towns or communities within the town, and we're mostly racing in Craigville, Centerville, Osterville. You come back to Craigville, then on the run you touch Hyannis Port and come back. In Osterville, there was a road, a long straight road, and unfortunately it's in tough shape. We used to patch it for every race, and I'd have to be out there with a dump truck to patch it. It's pretty much impossible. So asking you to please be careful when you're on Parker. If you look at the race map, you can kind of get a sense of where it is. It's beautiful. You go by a golf course and big, beautiful houses, but for some reason, the road's in tough shape.
Yeah. Okay. So sorry, you just heard his voice and he wouldn't come onto the screen, but hopefully you caught all that with Parker Road. So we'll talk more about that when we go through the course. We'll point out exactly where that is, but I want you to be aware of it now in case you step out of the meeting. Post-race food has changed. We have been doing Subway this year. We're the Barnacle across the street has agreed to supply the nutrition. So we'll have pulled pork, turkey club, not turkey club, turkey wraps. Ham wraps, egg sandwiches, and salad. So we'll have kind of more full food after the race. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. As always, bikes cannot leave transition until after the last cyclist is off their bike. This is a USAT rule, and it's there for safety. So just want to make a point of that. We also have finisher picks out on the course this year. So they are, when you registered, there was an option to be able to buy finisher picks, like to buy a photo package, and it was at a deeply discounted rate because it's before the race. If you haven't done that and you want to, you can go into your athlete registration account, and you can choose that product now. I think he said it's like 40% off if you do it before the race. After the race, they'll send you an email and it will say, okay, here's all your race pictures. If you want to buy them, there's a package for that. So, so they're really great. We've seen them in other races, and I think you'll be happy with those pictures. Anyone who did Hyannis 2 saw the cold plunge, guys. It is great. There's a lot to be said about cold plunging after or even before before a workout. And the cold plunge guys just make it fun. So I'm not sure if Mitch is on now. If not, we'll give him a chance to talk in a little bit. Mitch, if you are on, go ahead and unmute yourself and you can tell us a little about cold plunge. We'll give him.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go for it.
Awesome. No, yeah, we're fired up to be a part of the triathlon again, second year in a row. We had almost 100 people come plunge with us last year. So whether you're an avid cold plunger or this is the first time you're going to plunge, we will have a certified breath coach on staff waiting for you. You might as well swing by. We're also giving away a $5,000 cold tub for July 4th. So at minimum, come by and check that out too. Whether you're ready for an early morning dip for a little blast of energy or looking for some recovery post race, we'll be there waiting for you with 2 freezing cold plunges. So we're fired up. We'll see you race day.
Great. Thanks, Mitch. So anyone that was at Hyannis too, and stopped by their booth, I mean, it was just a lot of fun. Yeah. And is Lou coming without his shirt again? Mitch?
Oh, he's always good for stopping by without a shirt on. Yeah,
there we go. All right.
You can count on that.
We had a lot of comments about that last year, so I just wanted to bring that up. Thanks, Mitch. All right. So cold plunge guys, we got that. And swim warm-ups. So we've heard what you all have said. Everyone wants to do a warm-up before the swim, particularly the sprinters, which is hard to do because the Olympic distance has already started. We have changed the course a little bit. It's going to allow for the sprint athletes to be able to warm up on the left side of the course, as long as you are not anywhere near people that are swimming, that have already started their race. So I'll show you that in just a minute, but want to let you know it. The Olympic swim course has changed, and that's what I was just talking about. I'll show you that in a minute as well. All right. Post-race food. I was just telling you, I thought let's start with food because that's the most important thing, right? So, so after your race, you can go by the registration tent where that's usually where we put out food. There'll be soda, sparkling water, regular water, and sweets and chips actually will be at that tent. And then walk across the street, but follow the path that we have, use the crosswalk, please, and don't walk in front of a cyclist. But you'll go across the street over to the Barnacle. And at the Barnacle, you have these options for you here. The only way that you're able to get that is with your meal ticket, which you will be handed when you pick up your packet. That volunteer will say, this is your meal ticket, don't lose it, and they mean it. So when you get to the Barnacle, you'll be able to give them the meal ticket and choose your meal. They also, if you have guests that are coming, if you have people that are watching you and they want to eat as well, there is a separate window that will be for for paying customers. So they'll still be able to do that, but you guys have your own special area, and you'll use your meal ticket to be able to get your sandwich or salad.
The egg is egg salad sandwich.
Egg sandwich. Oh, you're right. Yeah, that's
Egg
better
salad.
than egg sandwich. Sounds kind of yucky, doesn't it? Egg salad sandwich. All right. Thanks for the correction. All right. That Olympic swim course, the next important thing. So the Olympic swim course this year is going to be 2 loops. I know not everyone likes 2 loops, but it's better to get 2 loops and actually get the full distance in than to do 1 loop and only get partial distance in. So that's what we have. So this will be 1,500 meters. As you see, it is a triangle. We're actually starting a little farther, closer to that finish line. Normally, we're way over here. In this case, we're starting more in mid-beach. The Olympic distance will swim around. They'll get out, run through the finish line arch where they'll be noted, and get back in the water and do it again. And then when they finish, they'll just go through the arch and I'll show you a picture of that in a minute. Now, if you are a sprint distance athlete and you want to warm up before the race, which I suggest, right here where my little arrow is, this is where you'll be. Do not come across over into the other swimmers because that's not fair. So make sure that you're all the way over. You can swim there, get wet, swim out a little bit. Usually the beach club has a dock that's out there. Did you see the dock today? No,
No dock.
no dock. Okay. So you'll just swim out a little bit wherever you want, come back as long as you don't get in the way of the Olympic swim course. All right. Anyone doing the duathlon? There we are. So duathlon starts at 7:30. We consider it's a sprint distance. So when the sprint athletes start in the water, the duathlete athletes start over by the run out sign. I'll go over it again in just a minute. And race morning, we'll touch base on that. So it will be a mass start. I mean, mass, there's like a dozen of you. So you all will start off, you'll go down, come back. We'll show you that in just a minute. Actually, since we have this one here. So you'll start at the edge of transition. You'll go out to where there's a U-turn sign. You'll come back around, you'll get on your bike, you'll do the course, you'll come back, and then you'll do the regular run course, that 3.6-mile course. You'll come through the finish line. Only overall finishers will get awards in that case, since it's such a small group. Aquathon, which is new for Hyannis 1. Same idea, but it's considered an Olympic distance. So you'll start with the Olympic distance athletes. You're actually in wave 1. So you'll start at 7 a.m. You'll do that Olympic course the same way that the other Olympic distance athletes do. And then you'll do your run, which is 2 loops on that, on the run course. And you'll come back again, overall awards.
We have 25 duathletes.
25. Oh, that's amazing. Excellent. All right. 25, still mass start. All right. So for all of you that are a member of a team, we have the lobster pot challenge. We just created our lobster pot awards in the last few days, and I'm going to tell you, they have such personality. Teams are going to be so proud to have one of these displayed in their location. So we have 2 of those. One is for the college and youth teams; those are together, and then the age group triathlon clubs have the other award. So if you need any other information about this, and you're a club and you have not already, let us know that your club wants to be a part of it. Then you can send an email to info@neevents.com. Andy, would you throw that in the chat?
Yeah.
And you can also go to the Hyannis web page, and there's a link about this. Our charity partner this year is Habitat for Humanity. We have partnered with Habitat for the last few years. And obviously we all know about Habitat. We're so happy to be able to help them with their efforts to have affordable housing on Cape Cod. When you registered, you had the opportunity to give to Habitat, and then we also have a bunch of Habitat volunteers. And as a race organization, we make a donation for every volunteer that comes to us from a charity partner, in this case Habitat, or we have a number of other charities that or organizations that we work with that are going to be send volunteers this year, and so we make a donation to all of those as well.
But
Yes.
all volunteers are welcome.
Volunteers are welcome. We love volunteers. So if you have family members that don't want to just sit around and wait for you to pass by, and they want to do something, then we love to have them send them over to the volunteer tent on race morning. All right, so that's all of the. I've done Hyannis for lots of years, and I just wanted to find out all the new stuff. That was that section. I'm going to take a look at chat. Let's see. Oh, it's all just Andy. So no one has any questions about that. Are you guys ready for me to move on to the next section? All right. So those that I can see on the screen seem to be okay with that. All right. So this is the Olympic course. As we were talking about, that swim, that's 2 loops, and it is clockwise. So your buoys are on your right. You'll do your swim. the bike. I don't know if you guys can see my, can you see my, yeah, there we go. All right, you can see my arrow. So, so you'll go up on the bike course, Bumps River Road, you go all around. This is where Andy was talking about, Parker Road. This is this section right around where the golf course is. That is, you're just gonna have to be really careful. Take an extra, if you know how to change your bike tires, I do not. So I'd say, if you know how to change your bike tires, bring extra tires with you just in case, because often that's where you're gonna end up, blowing a tire.
Maybe a tube.
A tube. Oh, you're right. Tire would be kind of tough. Sorry, tube. Bring a tube.
Rare.
All right, bring a tube. And then you'll go along Seaview. This is a really pretty area of the course. And then you'll come back around. If you're doing the Olympic, you're going to make a left here and you'll go on to Bay Lane. It is a dangerous part of the course. Some people are going straight here. If you're Olympic distance and you've already done one loop, you're going to go straight. If you're sprint distance, you're going to go straight. So some people are going straight and some people are turning. And sometimes that means someone in front of you is like, oh no, and they go to make the left and, and they make a, they slow down a whole lot and they're right in front of you. So be weary of that.
You may want to repeat what you said about if you're an Olympic athlete and if you're a sprint athlete here.
Okay. It would be great if he was on, wasn't it?
Here, I can start the video.
Okay, so Andy's going to jump in since he's the course man.
So if you're a sprint
Wait,
athlete,
we can't see you though. Oh, that's right, because we're just looking at the course. Never mind, go ahead. Sorry.
if you're a sprint athlete, all you have to do is follow the red route, one loop. If you're an Olympic athlete, after you finish most of one of the loops, you'll see a dotted line and you'll be taking that road, a left turn onto that road, Bay Lane, which will bring you back up to Bumps River Road where you have been once before, and then you will do the loop again. And then, now that you've done 2 of those loops, you've gone through Osterville twice, you head for the beach. And there'll be signs that will make this clear because this is important. We don't want anyone to become confused when they're out there.
Right. Right. So if everyone got that, if you're an Olympic athlete, the first loop, you're going to make this left. If you're behind anybody else, just make sure that you're far enough back. So if they slam on their brakes to make a left, you don't hit them. You'll then go Bay Lane and it will be the same thing. You're merging with those athletes that are coming along Bumps River Road here. So, if you're an Olympic athlete, you're going to make that left, you're merging with them. So be careful. There are plenty of volunteers and staff. There's an EMT over there, just to make sure that, that you're safe, but really pay attention to that left. If you're coming along, you're a sprint athlete or you're just starting on the course here, just be mindful that there are people that will be coming from the left. So slow yourself down, move over to the right a bit, and just be cognizant of what's going on around you. All right, so then you'll get back over here to the beach. Make your transition, and then you're going to run up. Oops, sorry. You're going to run up. You're going to make a left turn. There's a water stop, by the way, that's like right over here. And then you're going to go around. There's another water stop. You make your lollipop. If you're an Olympic athlete, you're going to turn around. That sign, there's a sign there that has a U-turn. So you make that U-turn, and then you'll go back around, and you'll do your loop again if you're an Olympic athlete, or Olympic distance athlete. If you're a sprint athlete, this is the exact same course without that Bay Lane and no turn. So, so you guys are using all the same course. It's just a matter of, are you doing a loop or not doing a loop? All right. Any questions, Mary? Throw them in chat. All right. So that swim course we've been talking about, we're going to beat this dead horse. So, so the swim course, your start is going to be around mid-beach. If you're an Olympic athlete, you're following those yellow arrows. Now, Andy puts out these yellow triangle buoys, and those are turn buoys for the Olympic distance. So you'll make a turn every time that you see one of those. You'll keep that buoy on your right. You'll go around one loop, go through the finish line, and then go around and do your second loop. So for the sprint athletes, about the time that those last Olympic athletes are finishing up their stuff, we're going to start the sprint. You're all going to come out of the water when you're over here, exactly when you're called, and you're going to go ahead and get, and get into the corrals. Around the time that you're doing that, the lifeguards are going to move some of the buoys out of the way a little bit, so that way all you're really seeing are these orange buoys. These are yellow orange buoys. You're going to swim around the orange buoys. I said that round, didn't I? What did I say?
Yellow, orange.
Oh,
so they're
orange
round
buoys.
And those buoys that are shown here as round are round, and the triangular buoys are 9-foot tall, big triangular buoys, and that's where the Olympics will be turning.
There you go. So either way, when you're done, there's a path that you'll take that's all coned. People are all around. You'll go into the transition area, and then the bike is out this way, and then the run is out that way. All right, so this is what it looks like on race day. So you can see this is that swim, the swim out right here. So there's your arch, and you can see that we've got there's cones, and there's the soft fencing, so you'll know exactly where to go. You'll come into transition. You'll transition here. The Olympic are on one side and the sprint are on the other. Do I have that the way? Olympics is on, I always get this confused. Olympic is on the road side. There is on the road side. This is that row right here. And then the other two rows are for the sprint distance athletes. All right, so you're in transition. Bike out is over here, right where you can't see, and you'll bike out and you'll go out where we were pointing to before. When you come back in, you're going to come in right here. There'll be plenty of people there to have you tell you when to dismount. You'll then transition, and then you'll go off on the run back over where you had come out from the bike. You're going in the opposite direction. We were talking about the barnacle. That's right here. So always important to know where food is. You'll get your drinks, your chips, and your dessert over here in the registration tent, which looks a little bit different now, but still same idea. There will be somebody that will make sure that you can get across the bike in without getting hit by a bike. You'll get onto the what is is that crosswalk? That's the word. You'll get on the crosswalk, and you'll be able to go over to the barnacle and get your protein, and then you can come back or you can stay there, whatever works for you. All right, also parking. There's a huge parking lot over here to my right. You can park there. There's also a parking lot that's just out of view that's over here on that bottom right. So if you need to get out, you're a sprint distance athlete, and you're going to do your sprint, and then you need to go, then you'll want to park in this parking lot across the street. It will be a lot easier for you to get out because you're making a right rather than going across the course. So that will be the spot that you'll want to be in. We were talking about swim buoys, keeping them on the right, and Andy was talking about those big triangular buoys. That's what they look like. Well, from up here, that's what they look like. There they are from your level. All right, the sprint buoys. These are those, or I almost did it again. This is the round orange buoys. Again, you will also keep those on your right. And there they are from your view. All right, and we are talking about that bike or the swim exit. You'll come out and you'll be able to run right into transition right here. All right, our bike out signs are kind of a yellowy green. Oh, actually, I think we have new ones, so they're green. You'll see those on the right side of transition. Your dismount, or excuse me, your mount, and then you'll dismount with that bike in and come into transition. Please, of course, everyone needs to dismount before coming through transition. We once had someone ride through transition. It wasn't good. All right, we do not use race tattoos. Instead, we use Sharpie markers. So the Rotary Club has been very generous in their time over the last 20 years, and they will mark your body. If you don't want a strange man marking your body and you have a friend that's willing to do it, that's good too. You can have them mark your bib number on your arms, and then your age on your calf. And then of course where you're putting, we also have the bike numbers and helmet numbers if you'll put those on before coming in transition. We have post-race yoga, thanks to Terry Walsh. And then awards will be at 10 and 10:30. And of course, in between there, you'll want to go over to the cold plunge guys and visit them and get a nice cold plunge. We love volunteers, but we also love spectators. So, so if you have any friends and family that want to come, signs are great. We love signs, noise makers. This is the one place you can come and make as much noise as you want. So, you know, please bring them along. It's really nice to be able to have that. All right. Pets, but no pets. There we are. Thank you for the reminder. No pets and no cigarettes. So if Uncle Bob likes to smoke, he either can't smoke there or have him see you on the bike course or something like that. That's outside of the transition area because the town's does not allow smoking. Okay, so I'm going to get off of this share for just a minute. And our next part of our meeting is all for new athletes.
Questions first.
Yes, so
First question, are there volunteers who can help change a tire throughout the course?
no.
It's a good time to mention that we do have 2 bike mechanics in the transition area. If you're a little concerned about your bike when you get there in the morning, they'll be happy to take a look at it. It would be a great idea if you look your bike over, you know, this week and see if there's any needs that it might have.
You're going to come over here if you're.
I'm on the.
Okay, yeah,
I'm on
but
the video.
well, except for they're seeing just my face. You're just a disembodied voice. See.
Oh, all right.
Okay, so so thank you, Andy. So C Sports is in transition for before the race. If you get a flat out on the course, you either need to know how to change it, or you know, hope that somebody else coming by will help you
Well,
change your tube.
eventually you can get put into one of the vans on the course.
Right, but then that's
Well,
more like
we
after
can't-
the race.
We can't guarantee how quickly that's going to be.
Right, right. Okay, all right. So what other questions are on there?
How far apart are the buoys?
That, you know, Andy was just waiting for that question, by the way. So the question about the buoys, like you and Scott, so our swim captain and Andy have worked out the mathematical equation for the distance between the swim buoys. So
Yeah, and he's a genuine aerospace engineer, so
it's perfect.
they'll be about 50 yards apart. They'll be on the Olympic course, there will be a couple of times when they're more like 70 yards apart. But if you can envision a football field, about half of a football field.
There you go. Parker Road.
Oh, it's a sprint swim, only 440.
Oh, so I mean that
meters.
440.
Yeah, 440 yards, actually. It is.
Okay. So
About a mile from Parker Road.
how hilly are the bike and run courses? I think it only ends up being 200, like a 200-foot.
Do you want to run through it quickly? We could. You'll come out of transition, you'll be in a flat area. Relatively flat road for the first half mile. You will go up a gradual hill for about another quarter mile. Then you have kind of a mix of a little bit up, a little bit down, but nothing particularly steep. And that will bring you through to Osterville, which is pretty well flat. Most of Osterville is. Coming out of Osterville, though, you'll be going on South Main Street, which is the road between Osterville and Centerville and Craigville Beach. And there will be 3 character builder climbs on that road. Nothing unusual
hold on a
by
minute.
biking standards.
Hold on a sec. They're all trying to follow you with that and they aren't. So so here you go. There we go. Now we got the courses that help you guys. All right. So you see it on yours. So Andy was talking about here, there's like a little hill here, but not much.
Gradual hill.
And then And then you go along Bumps River Road.
Bumps River Road has some small rises and some small declines. There is a good decline back there. If you back up a little bit to the to whatever that symbol is. Yeah,
The
there.
police. Yeah.
There's a steep, there is a steep downhill it's very short, only about 30 or 40 yards, but it does lead into a left turn. We will be marking that with sharp left ahead. And once again, in the old days, we were able to put a half a dozen signs out there for that corner. Now we'll only be able to put maybe 2. So when you see steep downhill ahead, pay attention. And then as you get into this Osterville part of the course that Kathleen's showing, it's relatively flat all the way around. You're pretty much at sea level or just a little bit above sea level as you go all the way down into Osterville, down to Hyannis, up through the pretty East Bay section. We're over here now.
Where are you? Oh,
East
sorry, I'm not
Bay
paying
there.
attention. Okay. Oh, so I thought you were going to talk about Parker Road again. So, okay.
Yes, that's
So,
Parker Road, right?
so that was Parker Road. That's a little
side.
choppy. Seaview Avenue, very pretty.
And in perfect shape.
Okay.
So it's very
All right. So now we're on East Bay Road.
right. Great road, very picturesque. Then you'll make a right turn there onto South Main. And now in the area where Kathleen's arrow is, you'll have a couple of hills where it'll get your attention. I remember doing this race for the first time, what's that, 26, 27 years ago as a racer. And I thought I was in shape, but I of course wasn't, because everyone who's new to triathlon sort of underestimates what's necessary to get through the race the way you want to. And yeah, I was gasping, I was out of breath. And so some of you will be, and don't worry, that's just part of the sport.
Okay. So we go through there and then we get to Bay Lane and we have to be careful because you're either making a left or someone else in front of you might be.
Yeah.
And then if you're finishing or you're sprint, you're going straight. And there's a bit of a hill here, but there's also that lane drop or that squeeze. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because of the width of the road, the police have asked us to create a short, maybe 150 yards or so, but it's a neutral zone. And it will be heavily coned. It will be staffed. And we ask you to ride in single file. So in other words, this is an area where you cannot pass. People who do pass, if you do pass, we will have people there. And if they take your number, you get docked with a penalty, much in the same way that if you were drafting behind another bicycle, or if you were blocking other bicycles from passing you, you get a penalty. We would assess a penalty in that neutral zone. So, and it is an uphill, not steep, but once again, it is an uphill. And then it's downhill once you make that right turn, downhill all the way down to Craigville Beach.
There you go. So that was that was it for the bike course.
Yeah.
The run course has there's a little bit of a hill here, kind of going up before you get to that lollipop, and then it's relatively flat. And of course, you're going to see that same hill going down in the other direction. All right, so let's go back to questions for the chat.
Do we need race belts?
That's up to you. If you want a race belt, you can get one, but you can also just pin your bib to your shirt. If you're swimming though without a wetsuit, then you might not want to do that because otherwise you might lose the bib in the water. It also creates drag, and it might tear your shirt. So if you're wearing a wetsuit, that's great. You can have your bib pinned to your shirt. If not, have something maybe you can put on over the swim. Practice that beforehand because your body will be wet. Or you don't have to wear your bib in the water, so you can kind of figure that out.
Yeah. If my son gets a flat and I hand him my repair kit, yes, you may. This is not International Triathlon Union elite racing here. Certainly, and we enjoy it when we hear that one racer has helped another racer as long as it isn't pedaling the bike for some other racer. USAT did not mail me a new card. Are they entirely in virtual cards now?
Oh, they might be. Nikki, it's no problem. If you put your number into your registration, then we already have that. But if you just bring, if you've got the USAT app, you'll have your card there, or if you have like an email or something like that that shows the number, that's fine. But if you already put it into registration and it validated, you're good. For some of you, have been getting emails saying you need to finish your registration, do your USAT number. If you did and it didn't validate, then send an email to that info@NE events, which Andy put in chat like in the very beginning. Send a note there and just say, hey, here's my number, I already have it. And then we can take a look, or you can go and make sure, does your birth date match what you put on USAT and in the reg system? That is like the number one thing that happens. Someone just misses a number. If you have an apostrophe or a dash in your name, that creates problems with the USAT system. I don't know why they didn't figure out that people do that. But that becomes a problem. So you have to really like take a look at that. Or just like spelling of names and stuff. And if it's none of those, then reach out to that info@NE. You'll get Maureen or you'll get me, and we'll help you out and make sure that you get set. Ultimately, if you've gotten a USAT number, whether it's a 1 day or the annual, and it's valid, it's good until June 8th. Then just bring it with you, and then we'll see that. We'll be able to check it off. So as long as we see that you have it, we're good. All right. David asked about
Yeah, do you know the answer?
Yeah, of course I do.
Okay.
So David, if you should get it, 2 of them if they're both under your email. If you do not get one for your son, then just send a note to info@NE, and we'll be able to get you squared away.
Okay, next one's about littering, whether it's a water bottle or a package of goo that you've just taken and you throw the package down, or you lose it in the wind. That is littering, and that is a violation of the USAT, as well as it always gives a resident a reason to call town hall on Monday morning and complain about the triathletes in that race, and then we run the possibility of getting a hard time from the town, and we don't want that. This race has been going on for 42 years, and we have a great relationship with the town, so we ask your help in trying to avoid littering on the course in any way.
Okay, so the question was, are the trash cans on the bike course? No. So you need to, if you've got a goo, then most of us in our, either it's a tri kit or a bike shirt or something like that, and you've got a little pouch in the back, stick it back in your pouch. Please do not throw it on the ground. Dave, you also had a question about that 1 day tiered system. So USAT changed that in, it was like January, sprung it on all the race directors all at the same time. If you had already registered, then you're good. Then you don't have to worry about it at all. The other question, Caroline, everyone needs a USAT registration. It's a membership. It covers you for insurance in case, in case of an injury during the event. It covers us as race directors. You have been getting emails that say, finish your registration, you need your USAT number. That is for absolutely every person that is participating in this event, with the exception of volunteers.
But you don't have to sign up for a year.
Right, you can just do a
sign up
1 day.
1 day.
Right, so if you follow that email that you received, and there's a link there, and it's usually like blue or something like that, it's really hard to miss. If you click on that, it's going to walk you through that process. So then you'll be all set, and you won't have to worry about it on race day.
Finish your picks.
David, I love all of your interaction, David. So finisher picks, if you go into your account, if you look for your registration, the email that you got that was confirmation, of course, Dave, you signed up in November, you might not be able to find that. Send a note to info@NE, and we'll resend that to you, and it will be right there for you. So that's with anybody else. If you signed up a long time ago and you have no idea where that registration, that confirmation email is, send a note to info@NE and just say, hey, would you send me my confirmation email? We'll send it to you in any link that you want. Will be there. Anything that you need to do, the USAT, the finisher picks, all that stuff.
We don't have hydration stations along the bicycle because it's relatively short at 20 miles for the Olympic and 10 miles for the sprint. We do have them on the run. There's one immediately as you're exiting transition, right? There's another one about a mile up that everyone will pass.
That's right around that turnaround if you're an Olympic athlete or you're a duathlete.
Yeah. There's another one a mile further along. And then there's a last one for the sprinters, which is the first one that you passed when you're coming back down to the finish. And then for the Olympic, they can hit that.
You pass that again. Yeah, you
as
pass
well
one of
as
those again.
hitting the outside hydration area. Will there be gels?
Nope, no gels.
No gels.
Nope,
Bring
just
your gels.
water and Gatorade. And sorry, I'm not crazy about Gatorade, but that's what we have. It will be watered down a little bit so it's not so thick and gross. All right. So that was
Olympic distance, I think we're around 200 right now.
yeah,
I
two,
mean,
maybe
200
250,
athletes.
something like
Yeah.
that.
And usually it's about a third of the field is Olympic and two-thirds is sprinters.
Yep. And then Gretchen's question about the aqua bike, I missed that. So thank you for reminding me. Aqua bike is the same sprint and bike, just no run. So it's the exact same course as everybody else, but once you're done with the bike, you're done.
Two options from the Olympic.
Yeah, right. And you do sprint or Olympic. She was just asking like, what about
Yeah.
that course? So exact same course, except for you don't have to do that running. So for some of us, that's a thrill.
You have to wear the bib during the run section, but you do not need to have the bib on at any other point.
Right. Yeah, just the run. On the bike, you'll have a bike number on your bike, so that will be what we need. All right, and then Andrew, you don't have to wear your bib while swimming. The only people that do are ones that are using safety pins, and so that's a little harder to do that during transition. All right, we already answered the bibs.
Open racking.
Right. So Gwen, it's so as Andy's saying, we call that open racking. So you're able to, when you come in with your bike in the morning in transition, there'll be some spots that are for clubs. Like if a club has a bunch of members, they get special racking. Our military members have their own racking, para-triathlete. So all those racks are covered, and they'll have a sign and it will say, military or, Cape Cod Athletic Club. So for you in particular, you'll be able to go to the Cape Cod Athletic Club or Cape Cod Tri Club, I think is how it state. Those racks. So you'll have special racks. Anybody else, you can just rack wherever you want, as long as you're on either the sprint side or the Olympic side, depending on what you're racing. Relay teams, do they have? Yeah, relay teams have their own racks as well. And that just kind of keeps, because usually there's a bunch of them. You don't want them along with all of the individual athletes. That gets messy. So so the relays will have their own side as well. And Rexel Energy has their own spot. Okay.
Question about motor vehicle traffic on the bike course. You'll likely see some. The police do a pretty good job of rerouting traffic and minimizing traffic. But sometimes they will allow traffic in the other lane. That is, if all the cyclists are racing on the right side of the road and the opposite direction, there you could see cars. And you always have to be alert for that person who gets up in the morning, forgets that a race is going on. They get in the car in their driveway and they back up because they want to get to the supermarket. And they might be listening for cars or looking for cars. They might not be thinking about bikes. So you always have to be alert.
Right. We have luckily not had a motor vehicle back into a bike, but it has happened in other races. So just be aware of your surroundings. Okay.
The run is pretty safe from cars. The cops do a great job of keeping it clear, but still, you always have to be alert for that errant vehicle that shows up on the road.
Right. All right. So Akasha asked about, you do not set up your transition the night before. You only do that the morning of, but you can come pick up your packet, and that's one less thing you have to do in the morning. David asked about water stations. We have a big water monster. It's literally, it says water monster on it. It's a giant blue water thing. And it will be over by the bathhouse. You can fill up your water bottles there if you want to. So not all races do that, but for this race, we have access. So if you want to, you can of course put water in your bike bottles before you come, or you can just fill up the water monster. We have plenty of water there. There is not bike stay. I think we covered that before. There's not water stations on the bike, only on the run. And then there is in transition. There's 2 different spots for water table in transition. Bathrooms was the other question. There are no bathrooms along the course. Every once in a while, you see a porta potty for a construction worker. That's fair game. But all the other porta potties, and we have real bathrooms at the bathhouse, which is right outside of the registration area. So you have to plan ahead. Go ahead and.
In Osterville, there seems to be a porta potty every 50 feet because of the.
Always construction. Yeah. Yeah. So you'll be okay in Osterville.
The houses are always being renovated.
All right. So, so swim, I'm going to hang on to that swim question because we're going to do the first timers section in just a second. And part of that's going to be covered there. So we'll save that. Let's see, mentioned being able to do the race competition. Sue, I'm sorry, that's my fault. There's supposed to be a friends and family wave. And when I was making swim waves today, I realized we didn't have that, but you can be in the newbie wave. And that's like the most casual of the waves. You won't have to worry about people bumping into you. You just kind of go and do your thing. And then, yeah. And I get your point about finishing standing up. The idea of the we call it newbie wave or the first time wave, is that everyone in there is like, I just want to get through this swim and then I can do my race, So, so you'll go, we'll have a good time cheering people on up until the time that you guys get to swim. You're the last wave, whether it's Olympic distance or sprint distance, you're in the last wave. So that means you don't have anyone coming up behind you. You get some Yahoo that's been swimming since they were 5 and they, and you're on their way. So, you don't want that with a newbie wave. Everyone is always watching out for everybody else. And usually it's like someone bumps into you. They're like, oh, sorry, which is not going to happen in the age group waves.
And swim angels.
And swim angels, right. So, and red swim caps. So we're going to go over that stuff in just a minute for the newbie wave, but we do have other things to kind of help you feel a little more confident and comfortable in the water. You do not need to bring safety pins, Jeffrey. They will be in your packet.
You skipped over.
Oh, sorry, I did.
So a packet pickup is 5 to 7 on Friday, right there at the beach, and you'll be able to look over the transition area and the course if you want to.
Right, yeah, that would be a great time to ride the course.
Saturday morning, starting at 5:30.
5:30. Yep. All right. What do we? On the bike course, no, absolutely not, Cheryl. We do not want anyone passing you anything while you're riding on a bike. That is just could be a disaster. But your bike, usually most bikes have like a cage, so you can put your bike bottle in it. So you can do that. If you have a pouch in the back of your shirt, if you don't have a cage for your water bottle and you have you're wearing a bike shirt or a triathlon shirt and has a little pouch in the back, if you've got one of those little, like I've got like little running water, water things for running, you can stick one of those back there. But no one should be passing you anything on the bike at any point. It actually is a penalty or could all be a disqualification depending on the infraction.
Okay. Gretchen's question on the aqua bike. Your time is taken as soon as you get off of your bike and walk across, which is right there, the timing mat at this mount. So your time is taken, and then it's up to your mom actually. If she'd like, she can rack the bike and then go over to the finish line, and she can just get her the things we pass out at the finish line. So,
which is a water. We don't have we don't use finisher metals. We were trying to be cognizant of the environment and not add more stuff to it. So we do give you a finisher water bottle, so that way you'll reuse it.
But she can, if she would like, actually go right to the beginning of the finish chute and run right down across the line and get her photo.
Right, right. And if she doesn't want to run through there, she can just go around the other side of the finish line and they'll give her her water bottle and cheer her on. Good question, Durand. Music is not allowed on any race course, any triathlon race course at least. So no earbuds, no music on a phone, nothing. You need to be totally focused on the race, and be able to hear everything around you. So please, everyone, leave your earbuds at home. I know that a lot of people train with, with them in their ears, but you can't do that during a race. It's actually a 2-minute penalty. And then Dennis, yes, you'll have ankle bracelets, the timing chips that will go around your ankle. And Davey will probably be in a different wave with your son. We can talk about it in a minute when we talk about first timers. That will give you a time. Packet pickup starts at 5:30. That's also when registration or transition opens. There was a question Megan had about when the gate opens, since that's the transition area. Opens at 5:30 on Saturday. All right. Do we catch all those questions? Because I'm going to move on to the first timers.
And Saturday packet pickup until, and I guess that is really, it depends whether you're an Olympic racer or a sprint racer.
No.
What?
Everyone needs to have their packet and be in transition before 7 o'clock, whether you are a sprint athlete or an Olympic athlete. So
I can tell you some stories about what I used to do.
But we're not going to do that. Okay, so good. All right. So if you guys are ready, I'm going to share screen again, and let's go through the first timer stuff. Some of the questions we'll just go right through because you guys have asked already, but this will give you a better idea of what's going on. So this is a transition area. This is from Hyannis from a few years ago. You would have walked into transition over here on the right. This is the Olympic distance athletes, and these are the sprint distance athletes. There's little signs that say things like walk your bike, don't run. You'll come in, the swim start is going to be way over here on the right up here, and that's off the screen is where you're coming in from the swim. You'll come into transition, and you're going to bike out way over here on this far side, and then you'll go on past transition, and then when you run, you're going to run out. You'll see that there's a kind of chute, one for running, one for biking, and then you're going to run out over on the other side of the course.
You can run while holding your bike.
Yeah. Oh, and I say walk. Yeah, don't ride your bike. That was my point. Don't ride your bike in transition. You have to walk or run your bike. We're going to talk a little bit about your transition area in just a second. But before that, when you come into transition, you see there's this restricted area, athletes only. We're serious about that. Grandma may not come in. Kids cannot come in. Only athletes can come in. You're going to have a volunteer. It's going to check the bike plugs. That's what he's doing right here. So he's got his finger on the end of the bike handle. You want to make sure that that is plugged up. You can stop at your bike shop. They've got plugs. I don't know what they charge, if they even would charge for it. The C Sports will be here, and they usually have bike plugs as well. So if the volunteer says, oh, you need a bike plug, he's going to send you over to C Sports to their booth, and they'll put some plugs on. There's also C Sports if you're like, you go to try your bike out, which you should do, and you find that, the gears are clunking or something, or the brakes aren't working right. You can bring that over to C Sports and they can help you out with that. So this volunteer is checking for the bike plugs. He's also going to check your brakes. He wants to make sure that your brakes are going to work on the bike. So once they've done that, and this person looks like had not put his bike number on, you should have your bike number on, which is in your packet that you'll get. You want to put your bike number on, then he knows you're an athlete, and you go, and you can find your spot in transition. There we go. There's C Sports. So you see there's some others too. Sometimes it's like, oh shoot, I forgot to put air in my tires. So that happens quite a bit, as you can see. There's several people here getting air in their tires. But they're there to help you. If they have to use a product, like put something on your bike, they have to use something, you'll need to pay for that. So if you make sure that you throw a credit card in your bag or something of that sort, then they can help you with that. Transition area. Your bike always goes on the bike rack by the seat. So in this case, you're actually standing by your front wheel, and your bike is facing you. It seems counterintuitive. It seems like you should be able to put your stuff back here on the wheel, but it's not. You want to be on the front of your bike. This person has their helmet hanging from their handlebars. That doesn't always end well. Sometimes they're running by and they'll knock your helmet. So you want your helmet to be on the ground. And I think there we go. So in this case, there's a helmet on the ground, there's bike shoes, or if you're just using your sneakers and you have flat pedals, that's fine too. You want some kind of towel, something to be able to put down. I use a towel often to dust off my feet from the sand from the beach. And then your bike bottles that will go on your bike. I usually have an extra bike bottle in transition, so I can take a sip then, and I kind of use it to spray off the sand on my feet also. But everything you need, you want to keep right there in your own transition area, and make sure it all goes back to that, because otherwise your stuff will end up everywhere. So there's that bikes walk out, walk in, never ride your bike in transition. So these guys are coming out of the bike. This sign here says dismount. And then you've got all these people that are along the side that are saying dismount, dismount, dismount. So they're going to make sure you get off the bike before you get over here. And then you're going to go in. This is the path that takes you back into transition. So you're just going to run your bike into transition. And there we go. So they got a little bit farther. They're coming all the way into transition. And then that was it. And then somehow we skipped right over that. And then you're done. There's the athlete's guide again, and I'm going to take it off of share. I didn't put anything about running. You don't usually finish after the bike unless you're doing aqua bike. But I think the run is easy. Everyone understands how that works. All right. Do we have anything else in any other questions?
Yeah.
No,
I want this.
You want to answer a question?
Yes.
Wait, there was another question sorry, hang on to it for just a sec, because somebody asked me a question today via email, and I don't want to forget it. So someone asked about using a safe swimmer buoy in the water. It's actually against USAT rules, but we ignore that as long as you're swimming in the last wave, so you don't clothesline anybody. So if you feel more comfortable just knowing that it's there, because that safe swimmer buoy isn't keeping you afloat, it's just floating beside you. So so you can grab onto it if you need to. If that makes you feel more comfortable in the water, then I'm okay with that. But you just need to be in that last wave. So if you are not already signed up as a first timer, then you're going to want to switch your registration to that. Along those, so the other part of what this person was asking was, he said, well, it's going to have this buoy so I can put my stuff in it, but all your stuff should stay at transition. That's going to be easier. It is completely surrounded by a fence. The only people that go in there are athletes, volunteers, and staff members. We've never had an issue with something being stolen there. It has just not been a thing. On the other hand, don't leave cash sitting out. That's probably not good for anybody. But you can leave your stuff in transition and not worry about it. So you don't need to take stuff on the swim or take all your stuff with you anywhere. You just leave it there, and then you just keep coming back to transition. Okay, so Andy, you had a question. I know there's some other questions that came up. Do you want to answer the question that you saw, and then we'll go back to things like red swim caps and stuff?
Yeah, we have about a half a dozen that have just come in, but do you want to go through the things that are important, like your red swim caps, and then we'll answer the questions at the end?
Yes, sorry. So red swim caps. So everyone has there's certain colors for every swim wave. So whether you are an aqua bike or you're elite or you're a first timer or you're in your age group, you're going to get a certain color swim cap. So that's a swim cap that you wear unless you have a latex allergy, in which case bring your own. But otherwise, you're going to start the swim with other people with the same swim cap. That helps us in the water for lifeguards to know if there's somebody that has a different swim cap that's in the same group. It's possible that maybe they were from the wave before, which means maybe they're really having some problems. So we want the lifeguards to be able to note that. So we have different color swim caps. The only exception to that, besides the latex allergy, is the red swim caps. So if you are anxious in the water or you have a medical condition and you want to make sure you've got extra eyes on you, our lifeguards are fantastic, by the way, but sometimes it's like, I would just like to make sure that everyone knows I'm here. So, while you're in the water, no problem. Ask for a red swim cap when you pick up your packet, and our volunteers that were there will give you a red swim cap. Doesn't matter what wave you're in. And that just alerts our lifeguards to know that they need to keep some extra eyes on you. There is no, Dave, there is no line in the ocean. So if you're still practicing in the pool between now and then, close your eyes when you're in the swim lane. And so you can get used to not seeing that line.
I have a better suggestion.
Sighting?
If David, if you're going to the pool once or twice before the race, your assignment is to try to sneak peeks at the end of the pool above the water once or twice for each length that you swim. And it takes practice, and you need to kind of get used to it. And you do not want to do the seal thing where you're craning your neck and trying to look, and you've stopped swimming and you stopped moving. There are ways, and you can figure it out. Obviously, a swim coach would help, but you figure it out usually on your own as to how you can kind of lift your head a little bit. Sometimes as you take your breath and before you put your head back down and get a look at the buoy, and you'll find that will make your life a whole lot easier on race day.
There you go. That's I've seen a lot of people in the water like to second what Andy's saying. They'll stop and they'll kind of do a breaststroke so that way they can see where the buoy is, and so they're still moving, but they at least have their head up. So if you have trouble kind of swimming and trying to get your eyes up to be able to see, then just try doing a breaststroke. That will also get somebody off of your feet if you had somebody swimming on your feet. The swim waves, Nikki, you will find that out when you get your check-in pass. It will say what wave you're in. And then there was another question that you had about let me see if I can find it again. Or Stephanie had asked us.
But you can look for it if you want me to.
Okay, go ahead.
Answer it next. Aquathon does not have dedicated spaces in transition. There's two reasons for that. One is if we segment out the bike racks too much, what happens is we get some bike racks that aren't that crowded and other bike racks that become crowded. And we found it's much better to have the open racking. And the other reason is a lot of people who do aquathlon, they have a family member, a friend who is doing the triathlon, and they want to be near each other. So that's one of those things where we just decided to not segment you out. GPX file for the course, the upload onto your bike computer. They are out there. We don't have one per se that we say here's where you go to get them, and that's only because neither of us are particular computer geek. We're more old school. So, but they are out there, and you can find them by doing a little bit of searching on the web. The wetsuit question.
Mm-hmm. So it's about half our athletes will wear wetsuits. The water, Andy checked today, and you got like 70, 71 degrees.
Yeah.
So the water's pretty warm. If you want to wear a wetsuit, it makes you more buoyant, no problem. If you are new and you have not been wearing a wetsuit, do not wear it on race day. can make your race not nearly as pleasant. Trying to get the darn thing off is tough, but also it's very constricting. So if you haven't been wearing a wetsuit, say David's been swimming in the pool, you know, I would say, David, don't wear a wetsuit because you obviously haven't been wearing it in the pool, and you go to wear it and it's like up against your chest. You're already anxious in the water, just because it's a race. And then you'll end up with issues. That's where we see the most panic. People will go from the swim start to the first buoy, and sometimes it's just a panic because it's their first race, and other times it's like this wetsuit. They're like, oh my gosh, this wetsuit is, you know, is strangling me. And it's just that they're not used to it because wetsuits are supposed to be tight. So you really want to practice with a wetsuit before you wear it on race day.
And if I can give a very quick history lesson on this, the race is 42 years old. In the early years, no one had a wetsuit and everybody survived. And it wasn't until about the mid 1990s when one company, QR, Quintana-Roo, developed a triathlon specific wetsuit, and some people started wearing it, and of course that grew. So yes, maybe nowadays it'll be half or maybe even a little bit more than half are in wetsuits. A lot of people are going to show up wearing surfing or kayaking wetsuits, perhaps loose fitting, but then again, they're also don't really provide a ton of flotation. They might provide a little bit of warmth, and you may find that your swim will be slower wearing the wrong kind of wetsuit. So, you know, be careful about that.
Right. So that reminds me that on Friday we have a race clinic, and it's done by Trish Cundiff, who has she owned AquaSafe swim for years. She's done our race for many years. So she's a great resource. So at 5:30 on Friday, she will be at Packet Pickup. She's going to go through all of the race and give you lots of pointers. But then after that, anyone who wants to swim, it's at your own risk, but anyone who wants to swim has the opportunity to do so. Andy will have, they're not the full swim buoy. It's just like a little thing, like a marker. So you can at least go out to a marker and be like, okay, you get an idea of how it feels. It's also a good time if you've got your wetsuit and you haven't been practicing in it, that you can at least get out there in it and decide if it's something you want to wear on race day.
Yeah. I can answer the question about why. Yes, Stephanie, if you're an Olympic distance athlete, you are going to do a 2-loop swim. You're going to swim the first loop, come out of the water, go through the finish line, come around, and enter into the start area and back off for the swim. And you will be your time will be recorded because you'll be wearing a chip and crossing a mat at that time. Since we introduced the Olympic distance race to the Hyannis Triathlon, we've always had a 1-loop swim. Kathleen and I believe in them as triathletes. We enjoy that 1-loop swim. However, 2-loop swims are very common. And as a matter of fact, when you watch the Olympics in Paris this summer, you'll see a 2-loop swim in the Seine. We were sort of forced to go to the 2-loop swim for 2 reasons. One is there is a beach club adjacent to the town beach where we'll be swimming, and that beach club now has introduced floats and docks and water furniture and lane lines out in front of their club, so that we can no longer swim in that area. And then on the other side, showing in recent years has created a situation where if the tide is wrong, and in order for us to be able to get that 1,500-meter swim, we have to have people crossing 2-3 foot water, and so that doesn't work. So reluctantly, we've gone to a 2-loop swim. Try it. Maybe you'll like it.
Yeah. Jeffrey, you asked if you could switch from first timer to age group, no problem. Send a note to that info@neevents.com. If you go all the way to the top of the chat, you'll find that email. And oh, actually, she'll kill me for saying that. First, go into your athlete account. When you registered, usually most people created an account. You can find that if you do a search in your email for that confirmation email, and then you can make that change yourself. If you can't find how to get to your athlete account because you can't find the confirmation email, then send a note to info@neevents, and Maureen will help you with that. All right, so let's see what other questions we have. You'll know what wave well, it depends on whatever wave you signed up for. If you're doing, if your category was age group, then you'll find that wave when you get your check-in. That check-in email will have that information. And let's see. Volunteers. Carol, thank you so much for volunteering. And I think you're running right now, are you? You will get an email. There you go. You will get an email from Jim Kavanaugh, our volunteer coordinator. He's going to send any volunteers an email in the next couple of days with instructions. So we absolutely love volunteers. We really appreciate Carol. We appreciate you and all other volunteers that are on tonight for being with us. All right.
That's it.
That's it. That's all the questions. Are any more questions? We'll give one last chance for any other questions. Let's see. All right. So Stephanie's. So is exiting the water to account for the swimmers completing each loop? Yes. I guess that kind of ends up being two. Do you want to answer that one?
So exiting the water to count for the swimmers is completing each loop, or is it to ensure the distance is completed? Well, you know, I don't believe anyone would do something like swim slowly for one loop in order to swim half the distance and not have to swim the full distance in the race.
Right, but they will be going over the timing mat when they
Yes.
go through
Yes.
when you go through that swim arch. So it will be noted that you have done the second loop.
Yeah, and you can probably say when you look at the results, hey, I was faster on the second loop than on the first, or
Yeah, I don't know if he's actually going to note those times. You might not be able to actually see them.
I'm gonna ask if he can.
Okay, that would be good. So Gwen, let me see if I can pull up oh, we're not going to be able to see it in that sign. Andy had a great map, but I don't think that I have it in my presentation. The sprint course is kind of within the Olympic course, but it has different colored buoys. So you have the orange buoys, those round orange buoys, which are for the sprint. And we'll try to make that. I think you're going to see if you can get the lifeguards to move to
Yeah.
the buoys that are there, so that it's really clear to you that orange is your buoys, and that yellow are the Olympic buoys. And our lifeguards are out there. If you guys end up going off course, like you pass an orange buoy and you're like, I think I have to keep going to the next one, there's going to be a lifeguard that's going to go, hey, come back. The course is over this way.
So you're going clockwise and you're looking for the next orange buoy, and you will kind of do well, not a circle of sorts, but you'll do a bit of a rectangular circle around to come back to the beach. So it should be pretty self-evident, and we will do what we can. The harbor master is talking about pulling up some of the Olympic distance buoys when the Olympic distance athletes are over and that sort of thing. So none of the sprinters wind up swimming out toward Nantucket.
Right.
So we should be okay.
We try to avoid that.
Maybe David should email you.
Yeah, Dave, if you wouldn't mind, I was gonna see if I can pull up your account. So if anyone else has any other questions, I can do that while we're there. But so the question about swimming upon each other, that's why you want to be in the newbie wave. So if it bothers you to have people like all swimming next to you, and maybe someone might end up elbowing you, or you get kicked or something like that, that tends to happen in the age group waves or like the elite wave. Newbie waves, everyone avoids each other. So, so if if that bothers you, which, it's kind of hard to get used to. But, so if it bothers you that someone might be swimming near you or jostle you, then you'll want to be in the newbie wave.
Kathleen, we
Yes.
have friends who live for combat swimming.
Well, that's not scare them. So, so the age group waves is where you're going to find that combat swimming, not in the newbie wave.
It's usually the guys of a certain age.
It is.
It's not the older guys. That's not to be the younger guys either.
You're right.
It's
It's
somewhere in
yeah,
that
it tends to be around that, what, 50 to 75-year-old man that thinks they can swim over you. And it's not Andy, but we do have a friend that tends to do that.
I was gonna say 40 to 50, but okay.
All right, well, yeah, they might too. David, I just sent you a confirmation email, so so you should be able to get into your account that way. All right, do we have any other questions? Is there anybody else? I told you guys about the red swim caps, right? And oh, swim angels, that's what I didn't do. So if you are really anxious to swim, and I've gotten a bunch of emails lately that where people are saying like, oh geez, I don't think I swam as much as I should have, and now here we are at the race, and I'm going to do it, but I'm really anxious about it. We have a couple of swim angels, and a swim angel is someone that usually in the last wave will swim beside you. So as we get to the first timer waves for either Olympic or sprint, it will either be me or it will be one of our staff that will be calling the swim. So it'd be saying like, okay, come up, and one of us will say, if you want to swim with a swim angel, come over here. And we have two lovely swim angels that have done this for the last few years, and they'll literally just swim beside you. And sometimes that's just nice to be like, oh, good, I've got someone right there. I've got someone friendly. She's not going to let me drown. We have lifeguards who won't let you drown either. So that's something that's really helped a number of people. Like they just kind of needed a friendly face beside them.
And you should know that you are completely allowed to stop at any of the paddle boards or rescue boards along the course and pause and catch your breath if you need to.
Right. Yeah. The only caveat to that is if you stop at every one of them, then that means you're not really prepared and you're probably not safe to finish. But that rarely ever happens. There's only, a couple people a year that we find that stop at every single lifeguard. All right. Does anyone have any other questions? Because I think that we've gone through all the questions that I've caught or Andy's caught on chat. Is there anyone, have we missed anything? And if so, throw it in chat or just take yourself off mute and holler. It's just us friends here now.
Yeah, no DQ for stopping to pause
on the swim.
on the swim.
Right. And you
But
can do any stroke too.
Right, but if the lifeguard or the swim captain or me, I'm out there as a spotter as well, and I'm a lifeguard. If we deem that someone's race really needs to end, or at least their swim needs to end, please don't argue. Let us bring you to shore, and you can just give your timer to.
You give your bit
your timing chip. Give your timing chip. And you can then go for a bike and a run along the course. That's
right. But you're not an official participant
Right.
at that point. Right. But you need to give your timing chip up. So you can give that to the timer or whoever is at the swim exit. If that were to happen, you said, oh, I just want to go ahead and do my thing, but I'm done as an official racer. All right. Parker Road. So we have one more question from Arnell. Parker Road caused many problems in the past. I don't
think it's
No.
ever caused a crash
No.
or anything, but it could if someone's not paying attention, if they're sort of loose on the handlebars and they hit a bad patch. Kathleen and I race in the winter and we have to go down south, obviously, because we can't really do it in the summer. We're just too busy with these races. But so we're sometimes on rural roads, and you just have to kind of look ahead and be aware. And there's a pretty scary looking crack in the road. I'll just hop over here. Just keep it in mind when you're on that Parker Road stretch, or really anywhere for that matter, because even though the roads look great to me today, as I drove the course in a truck, it's possible that I missed a
Divot.
a pothole somewhere that I just missed. Sometimes those things happen. So.
All right. So I think that
Yeah.
I think that was it. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, David. What do you have?
Yeah, so instead of typing this, so I was able to get to my account and I guess I'm set as a first timer, but it seemed like that there weren't any, it wasn't like a competition kind of thing. What should I change it to? It didn't seem like I didn't see an age group one. I saw Clydesdale, elite. I know I'm not elite, but what should I,
Okay, so your wave, Dave, is a first timer. So is that where you want to be? Do you want to be in that last wave?
No, well, from what I was reading in the packet the other day, first timer doesn't get, there's not like it's not like the competition part. I'm not going to win it anyway, but I wanted to be in, the age bracket.
Okay, so if you want to be in your age bracket, I can change that now since I have your account up. So to be able to, for anyone else to ask the first timer wave, there are first, second, third awards for first timer wave, but it's not within your age group. So if you're, for anybody else on, if you're, 34 years old and you're in the first timer wave, your award would be based on other first timers because you all started at the same time. If you're an age grouper though, and you're 34, then you'd be competing against people that are 30 to 34. And your gender as well, or non-binary.
And your age
And-
I was saying if your age is 34, then you're competing for the 30 to 34-year-old.
right, and your age for
Oh, good point.
triathlon purposes.
So yeah, so for triathlon, you are the age that you will be as of December 31st.
Sure.
So it's not like at the age that you are on race day. It's
Correct.
that way it's all kind of even. So so however old you are in, your birthday September 1st, or June 1st, then it's however old you are on
Yeah.
December 31st.
And I
If that
put
makes
an
sense.
email address into the chat for any complicated questions that anyone might have. There was a question about sharks. Unfortunately, thanks to CNN and some of the other networks and some of the newspapers around the country and the world, Cape Cod has a reputation for sharks. Well, it's a part of Cape Cod that is the outer Cape that starts around the Chatham, Monomoy area, and it goes up toward Provincetown. Once in a while, they see them in Cape Cod Bay. So far, there has never been a sighting of at least of a great white shark in Nantucket Sound or Vineyard Sound, which is where we have the Hyannis Triathlon and the Falmouth Triathlon. The harbor master and I have conversations about this every once in a while, and I ask, hey, have you seen any seals? And he's like, no, we're still pretty good on the seals. Because where the seals go, the sharks like to go. And so we're good on that front. Who knows? Sometimes we worry that, well, what happens in 10 years from now if suddenly the seals start coming in? But we're fine. There was a question about the swim start, about how that's done.
Oh yeah, and I should have brought that up before. Sorry about that. So so we do this modified swim start. And what that means is even though you're starting in your swim wave, let's say we're talking about like someone's 34 years old, a male at 34 is going to be in the swim wave that's 20 to 39-year-old men. Although there might be 50 of those people, only 8 are starting at a time. So we do 8 people every 10 seconds. So that way you don't have like a big mass start. And then we do the same thing with all the other waves, even newbie waves. It's more of a rolling start every 10 seconds. The next 8 people are going. And then we have a minute break between each of those waves to give the chance for the lifeguards to be able to see that separation so we can keep people safe. All right, are there any other questions?
Yeah, check the athlete's guide in a couple of days to see about the age group starts for each age group, right?
It will be, I will put it in the athlete's guide, but they'll also get an email
Oh.
with their check-in. And in the check-in, it will have your wave. It will also say the cap color that you have.
Yeah, we have to
Um,
hold off on doing it because we want to see how many people we have in every category. And as you can imagine, there's a rush of registrations during these last few days before the race. So we want to see how that's coming together.
Okay, and there's a couple other questions I want to address. Christy, first timers don't automatically get are not automatically in that first timers wave. You have to choose that. We have some people that it might be their first triathlon, but they were like college swimmers, so they're not worried about what they're doing in the water. So you have to choose that in your athlete account. And you can just go to your confirmation email and you can sign into your account. And then you can change or you can check to see if you're in that first timer wave or age group, and you can make adjustments. The other question was if you're in the first timer wave, or do you get, what color cap do you get? It's not automatically a red cap. You have to choose a red cap for that same reason that I gave. So you might be the newbie wave or first timer wave because it's your first race and you just prefer not to be jostled in the swim, but you're pretty confident. So you might not feel like you need a red cap. The red cap is for extra eyes. So hopefully that helps. All right, let's see. I did Falmouth. Let's see. Oh, good. Thanks, Nikki, for doing Falmouth. All right. Do we have any other questions? Is there anything that we missed? Any other questions that we might have missed? I think that we're good. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. We're really looking forward to seeing you on Friday night and Saturday morning. It looks like it's going to be a beautiful day. So tell your friends and tell them to come on. So thank you guys so much. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.